Hey there everyone, and welcome back to Elite Travel and Tech Reviews. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to start a little mini series. It's called Travel Talk, and basically it's going to highlight different tools, websites, and tricks that I use to help maximize my traveling experience, as well as get the most value out of what I'm paying for my trips. So hope that you're going to find this very interesting. And just to get started, as obviously as a disclaimer, that this is not a sponsored video series. Most of these websites that I'm using, I either belong to or subscribe to, and they obviously are maintained by their own manufacturers, and also all the airlines, they're their own airlines. So this is by no means a sponsored video, just hopefully a way to help you guys in your traveling. So I want to start out today with seat availability for flights, upgrades, everyone wants those upgrades these days, and just a way to find out more information and research your flights before you actually time to book. So I'm going to use a website called expertflyer.com, and this is their homepage. They're at expertflyer.com, and like it says in their tagline, they do empower the frequent flyer. I was introduced to this website about 2 years ago, and basically it's kind of like a user-friendly snapshot into their central reservation systems of the airlines. So it is live, and with that being said, things in the travel industry change instantaneously. So, definitely this is a research tool, and you got to verify everything before you book, because things are most likely going to change, but you're going to get a good idea as to what's happening with the pricing and availability of seats. So this is their website, and basically they offer a free version for those who don't fly a ton. Basically you can do queries, a limited number of queries, and I'll show you what that is. It's basically a search, and you can also do seat alerts, which I'll also demonstrate for you, but you can't access the fare information. And then they have their Pro version. There's 2 levels of Pro version. The lower Pro version, you can do everything except for access some of the fare information again. And then their full version, which is $10 a month or $100 per year, is an unlimited number of queries and has full access to the whole system. So let's just dive right into it. After you log in, this is basically going to be your landing page. You're going to have all your different categories of searches in this area here. You're going to have some support links and also references. So airport codes, airline codes, class codes, equipment codes, and meal codes. Great if you're flying a new airline or you want to know what that odd little number or letter means on your boarding pass. That's a great place to start. So I just want to quickly demonstrate. A lot of people have issues with airport codes, which I do too. I know the ones that I use a whole lot, but obviously there's many airports in the world, and if you're going somewhere exotic, you definitely want to have a command over those codes. So if we look here and click on airport codes, it's going to bring up a little box for us. And just bring this here to the screen. And you can kind of search 2 ways. If you know your location, your city name. So let's say we're going to look for Madrid. So Madrid. All right. And then if we hit filter, here we can see we have the Madrid in Spain. It's Barajas Airport, and it's MAD is their airport code. But let's say you are going to go the other way. You have the airport code, but want to know what's that city name. So here we can just look up HKG, which is a pretty common one, but you never know. So that's Hong Kong International Airport in Hong Kong, and there you go. So great little tool to have at your disposal. So now let's just start with the awards and upgrades. So this is what I use when I'm looking for availability for flights, and I want to see kind of the whole layout and the whole picture of the different options that I have for my travel day, as well as for the actual specific airline. So basically, once this populates, you're going to look, and it's going to be very similar to what you'd see on a normal booking site for airlines. So let's just say we're going to go on a little a test trip today from Chicago, which happens to be my home base, and let's go to Miami. So we're going to put in the airport code for Miami, and you can put in some connections if you want to connect, but we'll just do non-stop today. And let's say we're going to travel on the 20th of this month, and then return the 21st. I'll leave the times there. Now, I'm going to be using American Airlines for these examples because that's the airline that I use very frequently and I'm most familiar with. And obviously, there's a huge list of airlines here, and as you make your changes, these class codes will also change for you, which is a great feature. So now we have our class field, and we can select up to 9 of them. So let's just do our first class awards, which here's the Anytime Award, which if you're not familiar with American, is basically it's the most expensive mileage first class award. So if there's a first class seat available, you're pretty much able to get that seat with the full fare for miles. And also mileage saver, if you're going to plan a little bit ahead, then you can get a little bit of a discount sometimes. And here we have the A. This is the all-important A upgrade. This is, let's say, I've booked into an economy class seat on our flight, generally domestically operating on a 2-class service aircraft, and I want to use my miles plus a copay to upgrade to first class. But there has to be a seat available in the A category because it's a capacity-controlled system, much like the X upgrades for elite travelers, which are cleared at different levels, different time intervals, depending on your status. We also have the same thing for coach. If you're an employee or confirmed flight changes, the E category is able to be seen. And we have some other fare classes too. So if you want to use a deep discount fare, which on American is going to be your Q, S, O, N, and G fares, your Q song fares. So let's just say we're going to do an N today. See what they have in N, if anything. You can have your connection preferences, and excluding code shares don't really work the best. American even has a little note at the top that says, don't really use code shares just because you're using 2 different reservation systems. It does work sometimes, but if you want the true information, I would stick with just one airline. So we sent that to the system. It's going to translate that into what it needs to do, and it's going to bring us back all of the results for that day. And here we go. So we have our departing flights listed first. And then we have our returning flights listed in the same manner. So let's just look at, here's American Airlines Flight 1270. It's a nonstop service from Chicago, leaving at 5:30 a.m. to Miami, and arriving Miami local time at 9:30 a.m. It's going to be on a Boeing 75 or a Boeing 757 aircraft. It has an 85% on-time rating, so that's pretty good. And now here we have what we're really looking for. We have our first class anytime awards. We have 5 available. So there's 5 available seats in first class if you want to just use your miles, and no questions asked. Now we have our mileage saver awards, and there's none available. So those have all been claimed because they only offer a certain number per flight. Here we go. Here we have the all-important upgrade, so the A category of fare. And this is a little aside. How I use it is, let's say I am booked into an economy class seat and I do want to use my miles. Or if I'm booking, and before I book, I'm going to look at all the flights, and I'm definitely going to choose a flight that, like I said, things can change, but I have a much better chance of being able to book my flight, call up my Advantage desk over at American, and use my miles and copay to get a confirmed first class upgrade at the time of that phone call, versus over this flight, American 1076, where there's only 1 left. And at that point, that could go to 0, and then you'd be waitlisted, and then you'd be categorized based upon your elite status. And if something were to open, then they start clearing off of that based on that availability. So you definitely, this puts you in a great position because you can see that you have a better chance here than you do on this flight. So a great feature. Once again, obviously, now when you see a 7 in coach, there is at least 7 seats available in that fare code. So that's something to note. We have no mileage saver awards left, very similar to our first class front cabin. And in our special N fare, we have at least 7. So that's great. Now let's say, for example, all the flights have no A availability showing. Well, you can do a flight alert. So you can name your alert. You can name it something, ORD to MIA, put in the date, and then you can choose whatever category you'd like. But let's just do A, for example. And you want to be notified when there is at least 1 of those available. So let's say a couple days, a week before departure, all of a sudden a lot of people cancel, or there's a group that cancels, or something happens and people are reaccommodated and first class opens up. Then they might open up some more A category seats. And once you have this alert in the system, it will continue looking at that flight, and if it finds something prior to departure, it will email you, allowing you then to call the airline and get that seat, hopefully, versus before, if you just called in the airline and not having this information, you're kind of like a shot in the dark at that point. So with this, it's a very instantaneous process. It's always very accurate that I've experienced, and it definitely allows you to get the best position to get that upgrade if that's what you're looking for. So excellent feature. The next feature we have here is just basic flight details, and this is going to be the same as our flight details and flight status information over there, but it's just in the same window. So we can see we're departing Terminal 3 at Chicago, arriving Miami. It's about a 3-hour flight. You're going to get about 1,192 miles, and the meal codes are in the main cabin. There's obviously food for purchase, so refreshments, and in first class there's going to be a probably breakfast snack option. Lastly, we have the all-important seat map. So here we go. You can dial in your selections as you see fit, and then we can search the seat map. And like I said, things are going to change, but it's going to give you a pretty good snapshot and also show you the seats that the airline has blocked that you're not able to access, most likely until airport check-in. So it's going to send that information to the system, and it's going to populate that information back to you. And here we go. So as we can see here, the seats that are in blue or X are either occupied or blocked, respectively. And so we can see we have a very full first-class front cabin. Moving back to main cabin, we see that there are some blocked seats that are denoted here. We have our exit rows marked by red, and then we also have our premium seats that are available for our elite customers or full fare customers, and then there's even some premium seats that people are able to purchase when they book the reservation. So let's say, for example, on this flight, let's pretend that we are in 17A, which is the window seat. A lot of people like the window seat, but you really wanted that aisle seat. You can create a custom seat alert. So once again, you can name it, dial in your options, and then choose specific seat. Now this only is going to work for seats that have been taken already or that have been blocked. So if you are wanting an aisle seat, you can choose the aisle seats that have been taken and create your seat alert. Then, if one of those seats does become available, if someone decides to change aircraft, change flights, cancel their trip, or were upgraded possibly, then you will be receiving an email notification, and then you can definitely call the airline and hopefully secure that seat for you, giving you the best seat option available for your flight. So a great feature to have, and it definitely gives you that leg up against your traveling companions and the rest of the general public. So now let's go to the fare information. And this is something that I use basically to get a general idea as to what my fares are going to be. Now, there's always different tariffs and fees that the airlines are going to charge you. So this is definitely one of those things you want to just use as a rough estimation, but it can give you an approximation as to what the fares are going to be for specific times of travel. So once again, let's just continue our fictitious flight here to Miami. We're going to purchase in Chicago, and we're going to travel on the 20th, as we had said, of this year, and we're going to return that next day. All right, and now here you can choose different airlines. So let's just throw in United and Delta for some comparison's sake. And if you just are using one airline, you can then you can even put in a class code. I don't recommend using a class code for multiple airline searches because each airline might have unique class codes, and therefore you might get some error messages. So once you have all that inputted in the system, go ahead and run your search, and it's going to pull the different fare bases and fare codes for you, so you can kind of compare what those fares are going to be. So once it loads, it's going to basically give you the grid and all the different fares. Here we go. So here we go. We have a Delta, United, and American, and they're all the same price actually. As you can see, their booking codes are different. L and L for Delta and United, and Q for American. So that's one of our deep discount Q-Song fares. So, and then you can even get more specific, which I won't demonstrate here, but you can do fare rules, routing. If you want to go figure out what airports are valid for that fare basis, that will show it to you, or view that booking class and the restrictions for that airline. Now, keep in mind these fare bases can change, and when you book your actual seat, a lot of times you're not going to know what fare basis you were booked into, but if you're curious, you might be able to ask an agent, and they might be able to tell you, so you can do a little more research, but generally the price is what you're looking for anyway, so it's very easily displayed for you. Lastly, we have our travel information, and this is great when you are at the airport looking for things or planning your trip. So let's say, for example, you want to know how many miles you're going to get for your trip, which is important for all those elite mileage runs, or just trying to figure out what airports you want to go to maximize your travel mileage. So we can go here to MPMs, or maximum permitted mileage, and let's just say for our trip we're going to go from Chicago to Miami and back to Chicago. That's our round trip. We're going to be flying American Airlines, and we're going to be on the 20th of February of this year. And we can search, and it's going to basically pull back for you. So here we have Chicago on American to Miami on American on the 20th February 2013. That round trip, cumulatively, we should be getting 2,384 miles towards your frequent flyer account. So there you go. Now you know exactly how many miles you're going to get for the trip. The next and last thing I'll demonstrate for you is the minimum connection time. I've used this multiple times when I'm trying to figure out an itinerary where multiple airlines are involved. If you're coming in internationally, making a connection in the United States and then flying domestically, you want to make sure that when you're booking your itinerary, you leave enough time to be able to clear customs and get to your flight. So once again, this is just an approximation, and I'll show you why here in a minute, but let's say that we are going to connect through JFK, John F. Kennedy Airport in New York. We're going to be incoming on Aeroflot, Russian Airways. And we're going to be flying, obviously connecting to the United States, and we're going to be on American Airlines in the United States. And then we're going to choose international to domestic, which is our itinerary here. And we're going to pull a search. And essentially, now you can see we have domestic to domestic, domestic international, international domestic, international international. This gives you all your different options. So they're saying that to be safe, the minimum connection time you need is 1 hour and 45 minutes. Now, I always double or even triple that because obviously, as I'm sure most of you are aware, lines for customs can be quite extensive and it can take a lot of time to clear security. So, but it's a great way to verify that you're going to have enough time, at least minimally. And like I said, you want to use this as a grain of salt, just a reference, because you really need to allow a lot of time, especially when you're doing these multi itinerary or multi-airline trips. So let's just go back to the home here. That's basically Expert Flyer in a nutshell. There's a lot more you can do with it. You just gotta kind of get in there and play around with it and see how it's going to fit your needs the best. So if you have any questions, definitely let me down below. I'd be happy to do a follow-up video to this. I'm also planning some more different websites next time. I have a little bit more of a social spin on things I think you're really going to enjoy to maximize your awards and find the best fare from leading experts in the travel world. So thank you guys very much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see. Be more than happy to do it. And I'll see you next time. Have a great day.